Hello students, I'm back for you again. So we are doing a chapter called acid, bases and salt, in which in my previous classes I've done with you is acid topic, then base, then in my last class I taught you about indicator, pH, okay, and even a little bit about salt. So today's class will be continuing with salt again. If you remember in my last class I gave you the definition of salt and type of salt according to the properties like efflorescent salt, deliquescent salt, hygroscopic salt and all. Then we try to predict whether the salt is acidic, basic or neutral with the concept which I gave last class. So today we will see the type of salt according to definition. Okay. Now these are the type of salt according to definition. So if you see here, one is called normal salt, one is called acidic salt, one is called basic salt, one is called mixed salt, one is called double salt, one is called complex salt. So these are the 6 type of salt we have according to the definition. Now I would like to make you understand all of this one by one, okay? Then we'll see the example later. So let's recap first the definition of salt, then I'll give you the definition of those 6 type of salt, students. Now this is known as sulfuric acid, students, and this is known as your calcium hydroxide. I repeat again, this is your sulfuric acid, this is your calcium hydroxide. So from here to here I am replacing one hydrogen. You can see out of 2H I have written 1, so I have removed one hydrogen, and from here to here I have replaced both the hydrogen. You can see from sulfuric acid. Similarly here I have replaced one OH here, and from here to here I have replaced 2 OH. So when you replace one H from acid or one OH from base, that is called partial replacement, students. Whereas if you remember 2 hydrogen or all hydrogen from acid and all OH from base, then that replacement is called complete. And this hydrogen will be replaced by metal, and this hydroxyl ion will be replaced by non-metal. So since I have removed one hydrogen, in place of one hydrogen I am going to put one metal and let it be sodium. Since from here to here I have replaced 2 hydrogen, I am going to put 2 metal, let it be sodium. You can put any other metal if you like. Similarly here I am replacing one OH with one non-metal, chlorine, Cl stands for chlorine, and here I am replacing 2 OH with 2 chlorine. So if you see here, students, I am replacing hydrogen with metal like sodium, and here I am replacing hydroxyl ion with non-metal like chlorine. So let us see the definition of salt again. Define salt. Salt is defined, these are those compounds which are formed by either partial replacement or complete replacement of hydrogen ion or hydroxyl ion of an acid or a base, either by metal or by non-metal. That will give you the definition of salt. I repeat the definition of salt again for you all. These are those compounds which are formed by partial replacement or complete replacement of hydrogen ion or hydroxyl ion of an acid or a base by metal or by non-metal. So these 4 are referred as salt. Okay, they are formed by either complete or partial replacement of hydrogen ion or hydroxyl ion of an acid or a base by metal or by non-metal. So this is the example of what, students? Salt. Now if you see out here, students, in this salt and in this salt, the replacement of hydrogen ion of an acid or the replacement of hydroxyl ion of a base by metal or non-metal is done completely. Therefore, we call them as normal salt. I repeat again, we call them as normal salt. So what is normal salt then? Define normal salt. These are those salt which are formed by complete replacement. These are those salt which are formed by complete replacement of hydrogen ion or hydroxyl ion of an acid or a base by metal or by non-metal. That will give you the definition of normal salt. I repeat again, these are those salt which are formed by complete replacement of hydrogen ion or hydroxyl ion of an acid or a base, either by metal or by non-metal. That will give you the definition of normal salt. And usually normal salt does not contain hydrogen in them. You can see there is no hydrogen because the replacement is complete. So we can say that sodium sulfate, calcium chloride are the example of normal salt. There are many other salts, student, and do remember these are the normal salt. There are many other examples, and this is a normal salt of SO4 you can see at the end. So you can say it is a normal salt of sulfuric acid. This is the normal salt of hydrochloric acid, you can say. So similarly, this is the normal salt of your sodium nitric acid, and this is the normal salt of acetic acid, because the acetic acid formula is CH3COOH, and you know that it is monobasic acid, so only one hydrogen is acidic, so replace that with sodium and that will give you a normal salt. But as I said you earlier, normal salt does not contain hydrogen. No hydrogen, no hydrogen, no hydrogen, but here is hydrogen. So some of the students get confused. So isn't it an acidic salt because the presence of hydrogen is still there? Students, I like to say acetic acid is a monobasic acid. Therefore, only one hydrogen is replaceable by metal. So when one hydrogen gets replaced, that replacement will be always complete. Therefore, though acetic acid has 3 hydrogen yet more, but yet it is monobasic acid, therefore it comes under normal salt only. So an objective question can be made from here. Name a normal salt which contains hydrogen. Name a normal salt which contains hydrogen. So you can give the answer as sodium acetate. Or you can replace this Na with potassium, so that time the answer will be potassium acetate. Now we go to the acidic salt. You can see here, from here to here, the replacement of hydrogen at ion of an acid by metal is complete or partial? It's partial, because only one hydrogen has been replaced by metal. Therefore, this is your acidic salt. This is your acidic salt. So what is acidic salt then? These are those salt which are formed by partial replacement of hydrogen ion of an acid by a metal. I repeat again, these are those salt which are formed by partial replacement of hydrogen ion of an acid by a metal. That will give you the definition of acidic salt. So this is the acidic salt of sulfuric acid, students. Remember, now similarly this is the acidic salt of carbonic acid, because CO3 is at the end, means formula of carbonic acid is H2CO3. So if you replace one H with sodium, you get this formula. So instead of sodium, you can put here potassium, calcium, aluminum, any other metal. But I have taken the example with sodium. There are various other examples in your book. Similarly, now you can see here, this is the formula of phosphoric acid. And it is a tribasic acid. I have given you the example last time. So remove this one H and put here Na. So this is also your acidic salt, because the replacement of hydrogen is partial. Similarly, again, this is the formula of phosphoric acid. It is a tribasic acid, so you can replace even 2H from it, and in place of 2H, you remove, because it was 3, you can put 2 sodium. So this is also the example of your acidic salt. So these all are your acidic salt, and mostly acidic salt contains hydrogen in them. But this compound, it has hydrogen, but it is not acidic salt, it is normal salt. Reason, because acetic acid is monobasic acid, it has only one acidic hydrogen which has been already replaced with metal like sodium. Now we go to the basic salt. You can see here, from here to here, the replacement of hydroxyl ion of a base is partial. Okay, and this is one of the example of your basic salt. Basic salt. So what is basic salt then? These are those salt which are formed by partial replacement of hydroxyl ion of a base by a non-metal. I repeat again, these are those salt which are formed by partial replacement of hydroxyl ion of a base by a non-metal. That will give you the definition of basic salt. So one of the example of basic salt is calcium hydroxyl chloride. How we pronounce the name? Calcium hydroxyl chloride. You can say lead hydroxyl nitrate. So these are the examples of basic salt, and many more is given in your book, so you can refer for that. Okay, if you want, you can take the screenshot of it. Okay, now we go to the next topic called mixed salt. Okay, now we go to the next topic called mixed salt, students. Mixed salt. Again, I am taking one example here. Let this be your carbonic acid. Okay, let this be your carbonic acid. Now, again, I am replacing 2 hydrogen. So the replacement is again complete replacement. Again, the replacement of hydrogen ion of an acid is complete. But when you replace both the metal, both the hydrogen of an acid by same metal like sodium, that will give rise to normal salt. That will give rise to which salt? Normal salt. But if I do the complete replacement again of carbonic acid hydrogen with 2 different metal, I am replacing one hydrogen with sodium, the other hydrogen with potassium, then this will give you mixed salt. Okay, and the name will be sodium potassium carbonate. Sodium potassium carbonate. So do remember student, if the hydrogen ion of an acid is replaced completely by same metal, it will give you normal salt. Whereas if the hydrogen atom of an acid is replaced completely by two different metals, that will give rise to mixed salt. I like to give you one more example of it. So this is your calcium hydroxide, which is a base. Now again, if you see out here students, again I am doing the replacement is complete here, and here is also I am doing is the complete replacement. So how many OH I have removed? 2. That means the replacement is complete. How many OH I have removed? 2. The replacement is what? Complete. Now I am replacing 2 OH with the same non-metal chlorine. 2 chlorine. I am replacing 2 OH of a base by the same non-metal chlorine. Okay, and that will give rise to again which salt? Normal salt. But if I replace one OH with oxygen, the other OH with chlorine, that will give you mixed salt, and the name of this mixed salt is bleaching powder. The name of this mixed salt is what? Bleaching powder. So now let us see what is the definition of mixed salt then. So example of mixed salt is sodium potassium carbonate and bleaching powder. Now let us see the definition. These are those salt which are formed by complete replacement of hydrogen ion or hydroxyl ion of an acid or a base by two different metal or by two different non-metal. If it is replaced by same metal, that is normal salt. If it is replaced by same non-metal, that is normal salt. But if the replacement is complete and the two hydrogen ion of an acid or two hydroxyl ion of a base is replaced by two different metal or two different non-metal, that will give rise to mixed salt. So mixed salt are those salt which are formed by complete replacement of hydrogen ion or hydroxyl ion of an acid or a base by two different metal or by two different non-metal. That is the definition of mixed salt, students. And the example of that is sodium potassium carbonate and bleaching powder. So students, if you want, you can take the screenshot of this too. Okay. Now we go to the next salt, that is called double salt. Okay. Now we go to the next salt, that is double salt. Double salt. Okay. This is the formula of potassium sulfate. Potassium sulfate formula is K2SO4, and you can see that the two hydrogen ions of sulfuric acid has been replaced by 2 potassium. So the replacement is complete, therefore it is a normal salt. Again I am taking another one, that is aluminium sulfate. As you see at the end is sulfate, that means it has come from sulfuric acid, and in this case the 2 hydrogen is been replaced by 2 metal aluminum here, and why 2 and 3 is coming is because of valency. So this is also normal salt of sulfuric acid, this is also normal salt of sulfuric acid, and I am reacting with water. And collectively we call this by the name aqueous solution. Why aqueous solution? Because of the presence of water, we call aqueous solution of 2 normal salt. Aqueous solution of 2 normal salt. You can see here aqueous solution of 2 normal salt. So when aqueous solution of 2 normal salt is allowed to crystallize, when aqueous solution of 2 normal salt is allowed to crystallize, a single salt is formed known as double salt. Okay, when aqueous solution of 2 normal salt is allowed to crystallize, a single salt is formed known as double salt, and the formula of that double salt will be join all of them, K2SO4 dot Al2SO4 whole 3 dot, and this is your H2O, and here will be 24 water of crystallization. Okay, and this double salt is known by the name potash alum. Okay, this double salt is known by the name potash alum. So what is the formula of potash alum? K2SO4 dot Al2SO4 whole 3 dot 24 water molecule, that is the water of crystallization, is the formula of double salt, and the name of this compound is potash alum. So when aqueous solution of 2 normal salt is allowed to crystallize, a single salt is formed known as double salt. That is the definition of it, and example is potash alum. And there are many other alums which also comes under double salt. So do remember student, all alum comes under double salt. Now to balance this equation, just put 24 in water, it's balanced, because this is same to same, this is same to same. So if I put 24 here, 24 water will get balanced. So always remember the definition. Now again I am repeating the definition of double salt for you. When aqueous solution of 2 normal salt is allowed to crystallize, a single salt is formed known as double salt, example potash alum. And such salt on dissociation, students, produce simple ions. Such salt on dissociation gives you what kind of ion? Simple ions. That is about double salt. Now we go to the next salt called complex salt. Now we go to the next salt, that is complex salt. So let me start with the example for you to make you understand. Okay, this is your hydrocyanic acid, and it is also a monobasic acid because there is one hydrogen. So when you replace one hydrogen with metal like potassium, replacement is complete, so it is again a normal salt. And I am reacting this with FeCN whole 3. Again, hydrocyanic acid formula is HCN. Now this time I am replacing hydrogen with iron, and the valency of iron is 3 in ferric. So I am writing FeCN whole 3. So this is your normal salt of hydrocyanic acid. This is also a normal salt of hydrocyanic acid. And this is called potassium cyanide. This is called ferric cyanide. So again I am going to crystallize them without using water. So how many normal salt I am taking here? 2 normal salt without water. When you crystallize, okay, you get a single salt of this formula FK3FeCN whole 6. The name of this compound is potassium ferricyanide. Potassium ferricyanide. Why ferric? Because it is coming from ferric. Okay. Now to balance it, 3 potassium balance, 1 iron balance, 3 plus 3, 6 cyanide balance. Okay. So let us see the definition of now complex salt. When 2 normal salt is allowed to crystallize, a single salt is formed known as complex salt. Okay, and one of the example of it is potassium ferrocyanide, and such salt on dissociation produce complex ions. Such salt on dissociation produce complex ion. So definition look quite same type. Okay, so do remember students, aqueous solution of 2 normal salt crystallized will give you double salt, example potassium. Such salt dissociate to produce give you simple ions, whereas 2 normal salt when it crystallizes gives you complex salt, example potassium ferricyanide. Such salt on dissociation produce complex ions, and one of the major difference between double salt and complex salt is double salt on dissociation produce simple ions, whereas complex salt on dissociation produce complex ions. That will give you the difference, main difference between them. So now so far I have explained you the 6 type of salt. Okay, if you want you can take the screenshot of this so that it can help you out. Now let us see some more example of this 6 type of salt in this slide. So you can see students, there are 6 type of salt I have already said you. So normal salt examples are sodium sulfate, sodium carbonate, sodium acetate and sodium chloride. This is the salt of sulfuric acid, this is the salt of carbonic acid, this is the salt of hydrochloric acid. But if you see in acetic acid, students, still hydrogen is there, yet I have said it normal salt because acetic acid is monobasic acid, only one H is replaceable by metal. This is not acidic hydrogen, so therefore it comes under normal salt only. So name a normal salt which contains hydrogen, so answer will be sodium acetate or potassium acetate, you can say. Example of acidic salt is this all, students, and this is the acidic salt of sulfuric acid, acidic salt of carbonic acid, acidic salt of phosphoric acid, acidic salt of phosphoric acid. Basic salt, lead hydroxyl nitrate, calcium hydroxyl chloride are the example of basic salt. Mixed salt example is sodium potassium carbonate and bleaching powder. Double salt example is this one which I have already explained you. You can say potassium or simply alum to it. Complex salt examples are sodium zincate. I repeat again, this is called sodium zincate. This is sodium argentocyanide. This is called potassium argentocyanide, example of complex salt. Now being a student, how to remember these all? Do remember from today, if there are 2 metals or 2 non-metal in a salt, that is mixed salt. If there is a formula of this kind where there is 24 water of crystallization, that is alum, all alum comes under double salt. If you see the square box formula type, or if it dissociates to gives you complex ion, that is complex salt. No hydrogen, normal salt, except acetate, and if there is hydrogen, we call it acidic salt. Now, name the normal salt and acidic salt of sulfuric acid is the question. Okay, now look out here, students. This is your sulfuric acid. Now the question is asking you to give the example of normal salt and acidic salt of sulfuric acid. So to make normal salt, you have to replace both the hydrogen. To make acidic salt, you replace the hydrogen partially, that is only one here. Now you can put any metal. So in this case, I am putting 2 hydrogen with 2 metal. I am replacing 1 hydrogen with 1 metal. So this becomes the normal salt of sulfuric acid. This becomes the acidic salt of normal sulfuric acid. And the name is sodium sulfate and sodium bisulfate or sodium hydrogen sulfate. So if there is no hydrogen, normal salt, you can see there is 1 hydrogen, so it is an acidic salt. And in place of sodium, you can even put potassium. That means potassium sulfate, potassium bisulfate. So you can see the answer out there now. So acidic salt, normal salt example is sodium sulfate because I have replaced 2 hydrogen with 2 metal, that is sodium. And acidic salt means I have replaced just 1 hydrogen with 1 metal like sodium. So this is how you can determine the acidic salt and normal salt of a given acid if it comes in exam. So you can take the screenshot of this for the reference. Now we will see match the column question which has come in your ICSE 2007. This is the question which has come in your ICSE 2007 students. Now in column 1 this is given, in column 2 this is given. Now how to frame? First do what you know, okay? Now you can see alum, as I said you earlier, all alum comes under double salt. So 6 answer is A, 1 is done. Now if there are 2 metals, sodium, potassium, carbonate, you can see there are 2 different metals. So it is the example of mixed salt. So the 4 answer is C. If there is hydrogen in the name or hydroxyl in the name, that will be acidic and basic salt. So you can see here sodium hydrogen sulfate contains hydrogen. So it is an acidic salt. Lead hydroxyl nitrate contains hydroxyl, that is OH, so it comes under basic salt. And if you can see here in sodium carbonate there is no hydrogen, no OH, and there is only 1 metal. Replacement is complete by only 1 metal. So this comes under normal salt. And in the last one students, sodium zincate. When this compound breaks down, zincate ion is a complex ion students. Zincate is a complex ion, so therefore it comes under complex salt. So this is how you can frame the match the column question if it comes. Okay, it has come in ICSE 2007. So students, so far we have finished about the type of salt according to the definition, and I have shown you some objective questions and even your examples of it. Now we go to the final part of the chapter, that is we have to learn, and that is preparation of salt. There are thousands of salt prepared by different methods. So usually we prepare different salts by these 6 methods students. Direct combination method, also known by the name synthesis reaction. Simple displacement reaction, double decomposition reaction, also known by the name precipitation reaction. And you know that in precipitation reaction, we show precipitated by downhead arrow. Neutralization reaction, reaction of metal with acid and reaction of metal with base. Now I like to explain all of this one by one. Okay, students, the heading is preparation of salt. As I said to you, there are 6 ways of preparing the salt. So let us go with the first one, by direct combination reaction, which is also known by the name synthesis reaction. So when iron and chlorine react students, we get ferric chloride. Why ferric? Because the valency is 3, or even call it by the name iron 3 chloride. If you have to balance it, you start with chlorine. So you put here 2, it becomes 6 chlorine, balance, 2 iron balance. So ferric chloride, iron 3 chloride is a salt formed by combination of iron and chlorine. Combination means 2 will fuse to give you 1. Okay, another example is when ammonia and HCl reacts. Take this H here, what you get is NH4, then Cl. So ammonium chloride is also a salt formed by combination reaction. But these 2 are not the only one. There are many other salts which can be prepared by combination method, which you can refer the book for it. For the time being, I have only shown you 2 how to prepare salt by combination reaction. Now we go to the next, that is number 2, by simple displacement reaction. Okay, you know that displacement reaction definition you have learned in 7-8. These are those reactions in which the more reactive element will displace the less reactive element. And from where you come to know who is more reactive? From the reactivity series. And if you remember the reactivity series, or if you don't remember, you just go through it. Zinc is more reactive than copper, whereby zinc will displace copper, and you get here is zinc sulfate, copper comes out, because zinc is more reactive, it displaces copper. So zinc sulfate is a salt formed by simple displacement reaction. Another example, iron is also more reactive than copper, so iron will displace copper to form ferrous sulfate. iron will come out. So these two are the salt formed by displacement reaction, and there are many other reactions. Examples for displacement reaction, you can refer book for it again. So do remember, in displacement reaction, more reactive element will displace the less reactive element, and I have shown you two salt here formed by displacement reaction. One is zinc sulfate, one is ferrous sulfate. There are many other examples in the book, you can go through it. Now we will see number 3, by double decomposition reaction, also known by the name precipitation reaction. So when lead nitrate reacts with HCl, double decomposition means first will take the last and last will take the first. So lead will combine with chlorine to form lead chloride, and H will combine with nitrate to form nitric acid. And do remember, lead chloride is a white precipitate. It is double decomposition as well as precipitation reaction, because lead chloride is a white precipitate. Similarly, when barium chloride, barium means Ba, reacts with sulfuric acid, barium will combine with sulfate to give you barium sulfate, and H and Cl combine to give you HCl. And barium sulfate is also a white precipitate, students. Similarly, when silver nitrate reacts with HCl, you get Ag will combine with Cl to form AgCl, which gives you a curdy white precipitate, and H and NO3 combines to form HNO3. So this is white PPT, this is also white PPT, this is curdy white precipitate, and all of them are double decomposition reaction, and even we call it by the name precipitation reaction because they all give a white precipitate, okay? And this is going to help you in some other chapters as a test. Actually, this second reaction is the test for sulfuric acid. If anyone says this is sulfuric acid, prove it. React with barium chloride, you get a white PPT of barium sulfate. Similarly, if some says this is hydrochloric acid, react with silver nitrate, you get a curdy white precipitate of AgCl. So these two reactions can be referred as tests for sulfuric acid and hydrochloric acid, which you learn in some other chapter. Now we go to the neutralization reaction. I have already explained you what is neutralization reaction means. When acid and base reacts, we get salt and water. Such reaction is known as neutralization reaction. So students, this is acid, this is base. When these two react, we get salt and water. Acid base reacts to give you salt and water. Acid base reacts to give you salt and water. So these all are the salts prepared by neutralization reaction, like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium nitrate. There are many others in your book. Again, you can refer examples of neutralization reaction. For the time being, I have given you 3. So sodium chloride, potassium chloride, and sodium nitrate are the salt prepared by neutralization reaction. Now we will see the salt prepared by reaction of metal with acid. Okay, so zinc is a metal which reacts with acid, and zinc is above hydrogen in the reactivity series, so it displaces hydrogen. Clear? As a result, we get is what? Zinc sulfate, and zinc sulfate is a salt formed by reaction of metal with acid. So students, do remember, some salts are prepared by 2 or more than 2 methods. You can see here, zinc sulfate is prepared by reaction of metal with acid. Again, zinc sulfate is even prepared by the simple displacement reaction. Now when copper reacts with sulfuric acid, okay, copper is a metal, sulfuric acid is an acid. When these two react, you get copper sulfate, sulfur dioxide, and water. And copper sulfate again is a salt prepared by reaction of metal with acid. So similarly, when iron like metal reacts with hydrochloric acid, you get iron 2 chloride, and it is also a salt along with hydrogen. It is also a salt prepared by the reaction of metal with acid. Now don't get confused here, students. You can see out here, iron 3 chloride. I repeat again, iron 3 chloride is prepared by combination reaction. Okay, whereas, look down, whereas iron 2 chloride is prepared by reaction of metal with acid. Now we go to the last one, that is number 6. Reaction of metal with base. So zinc is a metal reacting with base like sodium hydroxide. When these two reacts, we get a unusual compound called sodium zincate. Okay, along with that, hydrogen gas is liberated. If you want to balance it, put here 2 to balance. 2 sodium balance, 1 zinc balance, 2 hydrogen balance, 2 oxygen balance. And it is a complex salt, I have already said you. And there are many other examples, you can go through books to refer, okay, for the more examples of it. So students, if you want, you can take the screenshot of this for your reference. So students, so there are 6 preparations of salt by different techniques. Some salts are prepared by 2 or more than 2 methods. Few examples I have given you there. So other example you can refer the book, okay? Now we will see this match the column question. Every year mostly like these questions are set from the salt chapter. Keep this in mind, students. Which of the following methods A, B, C, D, E, F are generally used for the preparation of the salt from 1 to 6? So you have to match the column, or you have to identify what are the methods by which following salts are prepared, and it's very important, comes mostly in your ICSE board exams, okay? And I have given you already the few examples, but that is not enough. So you have to refer book to see the other preparation of other salts too. Okay. Now go with the one which you are confident with. Let us see this one first. Iron 3 chloride. Iron and chlorine combines to form iron 3 chloride. So one is formed by direct combination reaction. Sodium chloride is a normal salt formed by neutralization reaction. Zinc sulfate, okay, is formed by displacement reaction as well as by reacting metal with acid. So don't go for it again. I repeat again, iron 3 by direct combination, iron 3 chloride, and I have said you another one, and that is sodium chloride by neutralization. But now we have confusion with zinc sulfate because it can be prepared by metal with acid and even with displacement reaction. So what you do for 4, you write both A and D, because it can be prepared by metal with acid even by displacement reaction. So for 4 will be A and D both. Now copper sulfate, okay, this is one of the unique salt which is only prepared by metal with acid. When you react metal with acid, we get copper sulfate. So this is a unique one. Do remember from today, copper sulfate is prepared by the reaction of metal with acid only. Now lead 2 chloride. PbCl2 is a precipitate. I repeat again, PbCl2 is a white precipitate. I have explained you earlier. So it is prepared by precipitation reaction. So the answer is E, which is also known by the name double decomposition reaction. And this all sodium zincate, the last example which I gave you, sodium zincate is prepared by reaction of metal with base. So students, you need to remember 6 reaction, okay, by which different salts are prepared. And there are many examples in the book, as I said you. I gave you some example. That much is not enough. But still try to get the concept from here and try to learn as much as you can. And such question comes mostly in your board exam, which is very important, students. Okay. Now by this I come to the end of the chapter called acid, bases and salt. So students, do revise back home. Okay. I have given my best to make you understand. So now it's your turn to improvise it through the knowledge which I gave. So please see that you will do that, okay? And all the best. Please do learn this all. I guess most of the school is getting summer vacation now. So you have a free time back home. So you can go to the KTV online classes, past classes, you can refer it, okay? Because it will be in the YouTube file or even in the Facebook of YouTube KTV channels. Go through that and revise the chapter which I have finished so far with you all. Number 1, periodic table. Number 2, chemical bonding. And number 3, acid, bases and salt. Thank you very much. Stay home, be safe.
Hello everyone. We'll be continuing with the circulatory system, and we were dealing with the granulocytes. So again, when I say granulocytes, you have to understand that the WBC, okay, WBC has a cytoplasmic layer. Granule-like structures are present outside. That is why they are called as granulocytes. So we have already finished neutrophil, eosinophil, now basophil. Now, basophil structure, granular cytoplasm with multi-lobed nucleus. That means the nucleus out here is multi-lobed, but it has indistinct nucleus. The nucleus is not visible properly. Whereas in eosinophil and neutrophil, the nucleus was visible. Here it is multi-lobed, but it has an indistinct nucleus. Relative percentage 0.5%. It is very less. But here you see, it releases chemicals such as histamine. Now, what is histamine? It releases histamine and also, okay, it releases two compound. One is histamine and another one is kinin. Okay, kinin. Now, what is the role of this histamine and kinin is that in the capillaries in the blood vessels, okay, this histamine makes this wall very thin so that the WBC can creep out. Okay, WBC can creep out. As this WBC creeps out, then they are able to defend the pathogens. The process by which this WBC leaks out or comes out by the chemical that is produced, that is called as histamine and kinin, we use the term called as diaperesis. Okay, we use the term called as diaperesis. At the same time, which are responsible for inflammation, which dilate blood vessels. Due to that, what will happen? The blood vessels becomes very wider. Once it becomes wider, it will assess more WBC. Okay, it will assess more WBC. WBC can move to the infection site and destroy the pathogens. At the same time, this also produce, the basophil also produce one more chemical compound that is called as heparin. Okay, it also produces a chemical compound that is called as heparin. Heparin is a anticoagulant. Okay, anticoagulant. Now, what do you mean by anticoagulant? Actually, what will happen inside the blood vessels? Okay, whenever there is an entry of germs, okay, whenever there is an entry of germs or pathogens, then what will happen? These germs or pathogens will release certain types of chemical compound. Due to that chemical compound, what will happen? The blood may clot. Okay, the blood may clot internally inside the vessels. So, during that time, now when the blood will clot internally inside the vessels, then in that case what will happen? The other RBC, WBC cannot pass through these blood vessels, and thereby what will happen? Each of these body cells, when not getting the enough nutrients and oxygen, they may die. So, in order to overcome this, basophil, it releases a heparin chemical compound, and that chemical compound you call it as anticoagulant. Due to that, what will happen? This, whatever the blood has got clumped inside, clot inside, that will freely move. It will neutralize the effect. It will give a access for the WBC to move forward. So, these type of activities are done by the basophil. Now, we have already finished granulocytes. In granulocytes, we had neutrophil, eosinophil and basophil. Now, let's move to the next part, that is type 2. Okay, type 2, that is all granulocytes. That means this WBC do not have granules. Okay, they do not have granules outside. It is a smooth structure. And in that granulocytes, one you have the lymphocytes, another you have the monocytes. First of all, we'll do with lymphocytes. Structure, first of all, larger and round nucleus. You can see if you compare neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, and if you compare these lymphocytes, you will come across that this is not lobed, but it is larger. The nucleus is larger and it has a round nucleus. Sometimes what happens, whenever the differentiate may be, when it comes, okay, like neutrophil and lymphocytes, then you can compare by that the neutrophil has 3-4 lobes, nucleus lobes, and whereas in lymphocyte it has a larger one. Anyway, now it has a larger and round nucleus, as you can see in the slide. Relative percentage, how much is this lymphocytes present? Then 20 to 33%. What is this function? Specific immunity, that is B cells, beta cells, will produce certain types of, it will produce certain types of antibody against the antigens, and due to that it boosts up our immunity. Now, here you have to understand when I talk about antigens, antibody, like take for example, in the case if any chemical, any substances, any pathogens happen to get inside our body, okay, we call it as foreign object, okay, foreign bodies. Then it is living organism, foreign material. Then it can be any type of chemical substances. This includes pathogen, foreign bodies mean pathogen. Material can be either toxin, harmful chemical substances produced by the bacteria. Now, in response to that, our body will, now suppose say for example, this toxin, these pathogens, whatever the chemical that is being produced by the bacteria, those are antigens. Those are antigens. Now, against this antigen, you respond. You are responding it. So that means the body has to resist, the body has to stop. Which the body is producing against that material, you use the term called as antibody. Okay, you use the term called as antibody. Anti, the word anti means against. Against what? Body. Out here body means the foreign bodies, the foreign material. That is called as antibody. Suppose say for example, if anyone is throwing fire, then in order to extinguish the fire, what you will use? You will use water. So here fire is the antigen, and antibody in response to that you are stopping it, you are preventing it. That water becomes a antibody. Similarly in our body, when this bacteria makes an invasion, virus makes an invasion, either by chemical, either by any activity, when in response to that antigen, anything produced by our body, we use the term called as antibody. So who does it? Specific immunity. I have used the term called as specific. That means, suppose say fire, then in what can extinguish the fire? That means the water, suppose. So that is specific in nature. So against any type of weapon, any type of material, you have a specific antibody for that. So that is called as specific immunity. B cells are involved in cell-mediated immunity. Okay. Next comes another one, that is another type, monocytes. Now here how will you come to know that it is monocyte? Structure, large kidney shaped nucleus. You can see out here, it is more or less like a bean seed shaped structure, or you can also call it as kidney shaped structure. Kidney shaped nucleus is present inside. Kidney shaped nucleus with non-granular cytoplasm. That means it is smooth, it is not granulated. Okay, that is why it is called agranulocytes. A means without granules. So under that you had lymphocyte and monocyte. So the monocyte, how will you come to know? It has a horseshoe shaped nucleus, or you can say kidney shaped nucleus. What is the percentage? 2 to 6%. Okay. Function, phagocytosis. So again, when I say phagocytosis, you have to understand that this monocytes, okay, these monocytes, whenever they come across the pathogen, what do? They show some amoeboid movement. Okay, they make a false feet. Okay, they make a false feet. That is pseudopodia. Pseudopodia-like structure. Okay, you can also use the term called as amoeboid movement. After that, they produce a false feet. These germs get inside, and finally the germs is put inside the body, and by producing a cellular enzymes, these germs are destroyed. This way of engulfing the bacteria or the germs, we use the term called as phagocytosis. At the same time, monocytes differentiate into macrophages. Now, what do you mean by macrophages? This term macrophages, M-A-C-R-O-P-H-A-G-S. What does it mean? Macrophages means macrophages means tissue scavenger. Okay, they are tissue scavenger. That means inside the body, suppose say any of the cell has been infected. Suppose say this cell has been infected. Okay, this cell has been infected, or say for example these bacteria are dead, germs are dead. Now whatever the debris are left behind, okay, this cell is infected or the bacteria are dead enough, germs are dead enough, that means it needs to be cleared out. So who clears it? Then it is the macrophages. That means they act as a what? Tissue scavenger. So when I say scavenger, who are scavenger? Vulture, hyenas and all are scavengers. Okay, but in our body we have in the blood system, that is the monocyte, they act as a what? They act as a tissue scavenger. And also you have to understand, like suppose say for example this is the normal cell growing. Okay, this cell is dividing and then this cell is dividing in this manner, but suppose say example this is the abnormal cell. Okay, this is the abnormal growth of the cell. This cell you call it as cancer cell. Okay, cancer cell. That means all these cells are normally dividing, but this cell is dividing abnormally. Okay, this cell is dividing abnormally. Now to destroy the cancer cells, also this monocytes plays a very important role. That is why monocytes differentiates into macrophages. That means they get differentiated into apart from removing the debris also, whichever the cells is undergoing abnormal division, what do? They clear it out, they destroy it, and then they neutralize the effect. So this is how the WBC play a very important role in defending against different types of pathogens in our body. Next, now come to the next part of the blood composition of blood. In that we have already discussed the corpuscles, and when I say corpuscles, free floating cells were called corpuscles. In that corpuscles you came across RBC and you came across the different types of WBC. Now platelets is not called a corpuscles. Why? Because the platelets are not a true cells. Platelets are not a true cells. Okay, platelets are not a true cells. Where are these platelets formed from? The platelets are formed from megakaryocytes. Okay, the fragments of these megakaryocytes are called as platelets. They are not the true cells. Therefore, they are not included under corpuscle. Now, where are these platelets formed? What is the other name of technical term of platelets? They are called as thrombocytes. They produce a chemical that is called as thromboplastin. Okay, so we'll come to that part. Okay, thromboplastin. But let's before to that, here you can see this platelets is very much irregular in structure. The white color that you see is not white blood cell, but you will find a irregular type of structure. This irregular type of structure that you see out here is platelets. This one is red blood cells, and then the spherical structure that you see below this part is WBC. Okay, red blood cell, white blood cells, and then this one is the platelets. Where it is formed? It is formed in the bone marrow, appendicular bone. Inside you will find the bone marrow. Quantity, how much quantity is present? Then you will come across 2 lakh to 4 lakh per cubic millimeter. That means in 1 per cubic millimeter, when I say, that means it has around how many? 2 lakh to 4 lakh platelets. The platelets decrease in dengue fever. Okay, platelets decrease in dengue fever. Whenever any the mosquito Aedes, okay, Aedes aegypti, whenever they sting, then what will happen? This viruses enters inside, and then what do? They damage the platelets. Thereby the platelets reduces, and the number gets reduced in the dengue fever. Anyway, what is the lifespan? Then how many? 5 to 9 days. Platelets, after they are formed, after they are originated from the bone marrow, they can live up to how many days? 5 to 9 days. What is the function? Function is blood coagulation, or it is called as clotting. That means you see that in our body, not only external injury, whenever we have a cut, whenever any part of our body gets injured, then what will happen? The blood starts coming out. Okay, blood starts coming out from the blood vessels. Suppose, say, for example, this part is damaged. Okay, any artery, vein, or capillaries is damaged. Then what will happen? The blood start oozing out. When the blood is oozing out, coming out, then it is a huge loss. What is lost? What is getting lost from here? You see that RBC is getting lost. RBC work is to carry oxygen. WBC, white blood cell, defend our body. Okay, and here you see blood platelets. This also is getting lost. So, and not only that, inorganic, organic material. So, you see that when this blood is carrying all the essential nutrients, then this is getting lost. There is a leakage. So, it has to be stopped. The further leakage has to be stopped. So, the body has a very good mechanism. The body has a very natural mechanism to stop the leakage of this blood. To stop the leakage of this blood is only called as clotting, or it is called as coagulation. So, how this clotting or coagulation takes place? Who does it? Then it is the role of platelets. So, how it happens? Let's try to go in details. Okay. So, here let's try to see the blood coagulation or the clotting factor. First of all, the platelets will release an enzyme that is called as thrombokinase. Okay. So, here let's take another diagram. Now, in this case, okay, suppose here this is the part that has been damaged. So, this is the loss of blood. Okay, blood are oozing out, coming out. Now, here you see this is the RBC, okay, WBC, blood plasma, okay, blood plasma. Here you will find the blood platelets. These are moving. So, when the blood platelets comes to know that there is a leakage part, then what will happen? These platelets will come out here, and then what do? They will release a chemical that is called as thrombokinase. Okay, thrombokinase, or you can also call it as thromboplastin. Okay, kinase word out here is enzyme. Okay, so what does the platelets produce? Platelets produce an enzyme. What is the name of that enzyme? Thrombokinase. Whenever the word ASE is there, you have to understand that it is a enzyme, like lipase. Okay, sucrose, then sucrase, ASE. Whenever you come across this word ASE, you have to understand it is what? It is enzyme. So, it will produce an enzyme that is called as thrombokinase, or we also call it as thromboplastin. Now, due to that, what will happen? The soluble prothrombin, okay, that is present, this is the plasma protein. Prothrombin is a plasma protein. It is inactive in nature. Okay, this prothrombin, which is inactive in nature, plasma protein, under the influence of thrombokinase, it will get converted. That means this thromboplastin, I am talking about thrombokinase, will turn into active thrombin. It will turn into active thrombin. Inactive to active. Blood plasma protein prothrombin, under the influence of thrombokinase or thromboplastin, it will turn into thrombin, that is active. Now, after that, what will happen? The fibrinogen, this is also soluble protein. We have already come across in the composition of protein the organic material like globulin, then albumin, and then fibrinogen. We have already come across that. So, that fibrinogen is also soluble in nature. It will now, this converts in by the action of this thrombin compound. Okay, it will form into fibrin compound, that is fibrin becomes insoluble. Fibrinogen is soluble. So, it will become insoluble in nature. So, once it becomes insoluble in nature, then what will happen? This fibrin compound will form, that means this platelets will form somewhat like this fiber like structure. That is insoluble in nature. So, like this in a mesh, a wire mesh like structure will get formed. Okay, like this type of a mesh like structure will get formed. Okay, a net like structure will get formed. Now, in this net like structure, what will happen? All these corpuscles get entangled. Okay, corpuscles get entangled. That means now the RBC cannot flow outside, WBC also cannot come out, and the wire mesh like structure here, all the corpuscles get entangled. Now, what will happen? This fibrin, that means the insoluble fiber like structure, protein, insoluble protein, okay, fibrin plus this corpuscles will lead to a very hard lumpy structure, like this. Okay, this lumpy structure is called the clot. This lumpy structure is called the clot, or in technical term we call it as thrombus. That means the insoluble protein, fiber protein plus corpuscles that has got entangled out here leads to the formation of clot, that is called as thrombus. And this process of formation of clot, you see that whenever we have an injury, whenever we have a cut, you will find that after that the blood has become hardened, red, dark red in color, and it becomes hard in nature. That hardness of that blood is nothing but what formation has taken place? Clot has taken place. That means after that the blood does not move outside our body. The blood is prevented. Why? Because blood is the seat of a soul. Okay, the blood is the what? It is the seat of soul. That means we are living only when the blood is moving in our body. Now, this formation of clot, when I say that is clotting, it is a very essential factors in our body. Now, the question comes like this type of, when the blood is moving in our body, due to blood pressure, due to many activities in our body, there may be internal bleeding also. So here what happened? To prevent this internal bleeding, to stop all these things, the action that is taken out here is nothing but it is called as clotting. Person who does not have this clotting factor, or they are not able to release this thrombokinase, thromboplastin chemical are not released, the person may suffer from a disease that is called as hemophilia. Okay, hemophilia, which is called a bleeder disease. Okay, the person blood does not stop soon. The person may bleed to death because the blood is not stopping. How much ever you try to stop the blood will keep on moving out, and the person may lead to death. That type of problem you call it as what? Hemophilia, or you call it as bleeder disease. That is why clotting is a very important factor in our body. Who checks all these factors? It is the platelets. Now, come to the next part, blood transfusion. Okay, what do you mean by blood transfusion? First of all, you see, it is the process of transferring volume of blood or blood product. Okay, first of all, volume of blood, not a 2 drop or 3 drop or something like that. Okay, a quantity of blood depending upon the type of patient, a blood is transferred. Another one I told you, blood products. Now, when I say blood products, then you see that in certain cases only RBC are required. In certain cases, you see that platelets are required. Okay, mostly in cancer surgery, what is required? Platelets are required. So only one type. Okay, platelets are required in larger quantity. So depends upon the type of disease. You see that the blood products, when I say RBC, or if the person is too anemic in nature, then hemoglobin is required. Like that, the blood products are required. Okay, blood or blood products into one circulation intravenously. That means when I say intravenously, how is the blood put? Okay, the blood is put through intravenous. That means through the vein. Okay, as you can see in the slide out here, you see this is the blood bag out here, and then it is being injected through the vein. Okay, intravenously, previously taken from a healthy person. That means previously taken from a healthy person means a person who is healthy, who has good quantity of blood in his body. And I told you a normal adult should have around 4.8 to 5 liters of blood. So from there, when a person is donating the blood, the individual is called as, the healthy person is called as a donor. Into a person who is in need, the person is in need, you call it as patient. When it is administered to that, then you call it as what? Blood transfusion. So here actually what will happen? Why the person needs the blood? Because when the blood is less in its body, when the formation of RBC, WBC, platelets are not getting formed in the body, then the person requires a help. Okay, why it requires a help? I told you, as long as the blood is circulating in the body, then the seat of soul is nothing but it is the blood. Okay, that means you are alive because the blood is circulating in your body. So a person needs the blood. So during that time, when it is given to a patient, from the donor to the patient, during the time actually what will happen? Again the blood pressure that has got reduced will be again regained back. Another thing, he has a huge loss of this component, that is RBC, WBC, blood platelets and all. Again what will happen? Again it will be revived. For that blood transfusion is required. And number of times there are so many such type of organization which mostly helps this blood donation camp. So anyway, this much for today. Thank you.